Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Sophie Erber. We have had more than 6 million cases of COVID-19 across the United States and more than 195,000 deaths. Today on Capitol Hill, senators questioning the nation's top health experts about how to stop the spread of the virus and when a vaccine will be ready. Alexandra Limon reports.
Public statements that a COVID-19 vaccine could be ready next month. CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield says he doesn't expect one to be widely available for another 9 to 12 months.
Late second quarter, third quarter, 2021.
Health officials say it's possible very limited doses of a COVID-19 vaccine could be ready by the end of this year, but they say those would be prioritized for healthcare workers and those most at risk.
This face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than when I take a COVID vaccine.
Democrats say President Trump is damaging Americans' trust in health officials.
He not only said that masks cause problems too, he also shared a tweet saying masks represent a culture of silence, slavery, and social death.
Admiral Brett Giroir, the Assistant Secretary of Health, defended the Trump administration's response to the pandemic, saying new cases are down 48%, hospitalizations down 49%, and deaths are down 33% since the peak this summer.
These gains could be fleeting or even reversed if we do not continue to follow the national plan and exercise personal responsibility, especially wearing masks and avoiding crowds.
The Trump administration says once it's ready, it wants to deliver the vaccine to Americans for free. In Washington, Alexandra Limon.
The Big Ten will be moving forward with its season after reversing that decision to postpone it. This gives some hope to businesses who rely on sports to boost their business. The general manager of the Half Moon Bar and Grill tonight says the revenue brought in by college football carries their business throughout the year. And now a comeback is on the horizon.
More people mean more business, and more business equals more revenue. And we are hoping to get through the rest of this 2020. You know, some of us are holding on by the skin of our teeth. We've been working on a slightly smaller scale staff, and more people equals more jobs.
Coming up tonight at 6, KCAU 9's Lydia Vasquez explains how Siouxland businesses are preparing for the return of the Big Ten. Governor Kim Reynolds today criticizing the Des Moines Public School District for not abandoning its online learning program and returning more than 33,000 students to the classroom. Reynolds today saying that other districts have managed to meet her requirement for in-person learning, even as the state remains a national hotspot for coronavirus infection. The Education Department Director, Ann Lebo, says officials would begin a process to potentially punish the district for not being in compliance. Reynolds went on to question why Des Moines was the only district not to return to in-person teaching.
Our kids have not really been, well, here anyway, participating in education for 6 months. 6 months that they've had to figure out a way. And again, I just want to go back to the fact that 326 out of 327 school districts have figured it out.
Des Moines officials tonight argue it is too risky for students and staff to return to classrooms under Reynolds' order. Now for a quick check on today's COVID-19 numbers across Siouxland. Woodbury County health officials reporting 54 new cases as well as 19 new recoveries from the virus. Across the river, health officials in Dakota County confirming just 2 new cases today. In the past 14 days, Dakota County has recorded 72 cases. And in South Dakota, Yankton County reporting 65 active cases. Clay County reports 71 active cases. It is time tonight for our first check on the weather. Chief Meteorologist Scott Larson standing by. And Scott, as you mentioned, it has been smoky, but still warm and pleasant. Temperatures in the 70s.
Right, nice to see those temperatures in the 70s today, Sophie. But yeah, that smoke has been lingering around Siouxland today. It's slightly lowered our visibilities in spots too. Wayne just a moment ago was reporting about 3 miles of visibility in relation to that smoke. 7 miles currently in Denison, as well as Audubon and Omaha, down to 9 miles in Sioux City. So it's not super thick, but it is noticeable as you step outside. And again, that is in relation to those wildfires that continue to burn across most of the western United States. We did have a cold front pass through this morning. morning, turning the wind more to the north and blowing in that smoke. Should be a comfortable night, though, as it looks like temperatures will slip into the 40s. We'll talk about a couple cooler days and some hotter weather going into next week. That's all in the 9 on 9. Sophie?
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. Well, out-of-control wildfires on the West Coast continue to cause air quality concerns, as we just mentioned, across the country, including here in Siouxland. As you can see here, smoke from those fires in Washington, Oregon, and California have caused that thick haze you might see on Siouxland's horizon. Dry conditions across the Pacific Northwest are fueling those fires, and air quality there expected to remain rather poor over the next several days. Meanwhile, in the Gulf Coast region today, Hurricane Sally made landfall, causing widespread flooding and multiple power outages. ABC's Elwin Lopez has the very latest from Florida.
Slow-moving Sally lumbering inland, slamming into Alabama and Florida. In Orange Beach,
oh my gosh,
people caught off guard.
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life, and I guess we just did not expect that. I think a lot of people didn't realize what this hurricane was going to do.
And in nearby Pensacola, massive flooding and tropical storm wind gusts wiping out a portion of the 3-mile bridge.
We anticipate the evacuations could literally be in the thousands. So it's going to be a long time, folks, for us to come out of this thing.
Roads completely submerged. The Florida National Guard racing to evacuate people as life-threatening storm surge and flash floods continue to plague the region. Sally already knocking out power for more than 500,000 customers across 3 states.
Today marks 16 years since that same area near Gulf Shores, Alabama, was ravaged by Hurricane Ivan. But Sally is a bit different. She is not packing Ivan's winds, but she will be bringing rain for days. In Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, Elwin Lopez, ABC News.
Due to COVID-19, the Salvation Army has made a couple changes to their winter tradition last week. Because of the coin shortage affecting everyone in the country, and to keep people safe, the organization will be accepting money donated digitally instead of physically. You can find out how to donate right now in the full story on our website. That's SiouxlandProud.com or the free KCAU 9 News app. An officer of the Le Mars Police Department has been dismissed tonight. This after the department conducted an investigation of his social media activity. According to the release from the police department, they learned Sunday of social media activity by Le Mars police officer Jeremy Singer that was unbecoming of a police officer. Singer was then placed on administrative leave, and then the department started a misconduct investigation. As a result of that investigation, Singer was dismissed as an officer effective Tuesday. If you'd like, you could read the full statement from Le Mars Police on our website. That's SiouxlandProud.com. This morning in a press conference, the Art Festival, Alley Art Festival, announcing this year's lineup. It is the second year for the event. It'll have more than double the amount of artists than they did last year. They will also be expanding the space for the festival, adding parts of 4th Street in order to keep the event more socially distant. From 1 to 11 p.m. on the 26th, live bands will be playing, including Lil Ed and the Blues Imperials. Organizers say for a while they weren't sure if this festival would even be possible this year.
Kind of just watching what was going on, what the numbers were doing, what health department was suggesting, but as it got closer, I don't know, it was probably about mid-August, so not that long ago, that we went ahead and said, all right, let's do it. Let's go with it.
The festival tonight still looking for more volunteers for next weekend. If you would like to help out, you're asked to call Vanguard Arts. A Colorado man is sharing his journey tonight, overcoming diversity to become one of the few Hispanic brewery owners in the United States. We'll bring you his story in today's Hispanic Heritage segment coming up in about 8 minutes.
Plus, the pattern of mild days and cool nights looks to continue for a while longer. We're tracking some small rain chances. It's going to be windy and warmer over the weekend. Your 9 on 9 forecast up next.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and meteorologist Marcus Beasley. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Thanks for sticking with us on this Wednesday. Scott, today it was a case of it felt nicer than it looked outside because it doesn't really look all that pretty, but it felt great.
No, kind of a gray scene there from our studio camera, Sophie. We've had that smoke that's been hanging around from those wildfires out west, and it's also been able to snuff out a little of the sunshine today, but still fairly nice and warm. As we look outside here from the Port Neal Welding Company camera stationed at the KCAU 9 studio. Looking at what's happening now in Sioux City, our temperature is in the 70s, so it feels nice, 75 degrees, with the wind driven in from the north at 13 miles per hour. Relative humidity now at 43%, and the dew point checking that at 51. So the air is quite dry. Looking at temperatures now, you can see that those range between 70 and 80 degrees for most. It is now 73 degrees in Cherokee, 75 in Wayne, and 71 up to the northwest in Yankton. 77, one of the warmer spots there in Omaha, and it is 67 degrees in Esterville. Seeing a temperature difference today, we had the wind shift this morning to the north, and that's causing our temperatures to tumble some. It's about 5 to 15 degrees cooler than this same time yesterday. There you can see that northerly flow to the wind between about 5 and 20 miles per hour, depending on your location. Currently at 15 in Yankton, 15 miles per hour in Esterville, 16 in Spencer, and 13 for Sioux City and Storm Lake. So that's been able to pull the jet stream a little bit further south and also be able to fill up the skies with some of that wildfire smoke out west. Looking at some of the gusts now. Earlier today, we did see those at about 25, 30 miles per hour, so they've slowed down a bit, but still at 20 miles per hour in Lamar's and Orange City. Visibility is being impacted with some of that smoke hanging in the air, especially as you travel southeast of Sioux City down toward Denison and Audubon, reporting 7 miles of visibility in both locations. But again, it's not super thick in our skies. Most of it is hanging overhead. Here's a look at the radar now. It shows that we do have quiet conditions across the upper Midwest, not seeing any disturbances locally, but we do still have Tropical Storm Sally at this time. You can see that it's continuing to slowly migrate its way out of Alabama and into Georgia. It's traveling to the northeast at just 7 miles per hour. Again, this is weakened from hurricane status earlier this morning, working in some more heat. 83, the high temperature on Monday, and a mostly sunny skies. And as we move through the extended forecast here, you can see that the rain chances are likely to disappear, with those temperatures staying above average in the low to mid 80s.
Interesting that we're going to have such warm temperatures and yet also some high winds over the weekend.
Yeah, a little breezy out there this weekend, Sophie, and another small chance of rain to look forward to on Sunday.
Is there a chance that it could blow out some of that smoke?
You know, since we have the jet stream from the north right now, I think that's just going to continue to pull in some more smoke. So as that turns to the south this weekend, it looks like we may get a break from it, but those fires are going to linger on for a while.
Unfortunately. All right. Thanks a lot, Scott. Well, you might be aware of service dogs working out and about in the community, but can you tell if that dog is alerting you to someone in need? We'll break down how to interact with those animals while they're on the job, coming up in about 8 minutes. And in today's Hispanic Heritage segment, we'll introduce you to a man who overcame extreme adversity to fulfill his dream of opening a brewery in the U.S. Stay with us.
9 News.
In today's Hispanic Heritage segment, we're taking a look inside one of the few Hispanic-owned breweries in the nation, in particular at its founder. Here's more on Jose Pateta.
When you have a beer at Raíces, it should feel like an experience.
The most important thing is to provide this place that is more than just a bar.
And it may be because the love its creators have for a carefully crafted cerveza.
I love it. It's my passion.
Is matched by the love they have for where they came from.
This is our culture. This is our roots. We're proud of this.
Raíces translates to roots in Spanish. Jose Pateta recently planted his roots in Denver, Colorado, after living on the East Coast for decades. But Jose was raised in Costa Rica. His family immigrated to the U.S. when he was 13 years old without immigration papers in hopes of a better life.
The necessity sometimes is bigger than the permission that you need to be able to move.
Jose recalls one of his family's first nights in the U.S. He says it's similar to scenes still playing out today.
Spending a night in the same jail cell overnight, terrified, not knowing what was going to happen.
But Jose says his family persevered. He eventually became the first person in his family to graduate from college, and he recently became a U.S. permanent resident and is now part owner to one of Denver's first Hispanic-owned breweries.
And running a $3 million project is pretty amazing.
Raíces came together as Jose dreamed of a new business opportunity. He found an intriguing gap in his research.
Out of over 8,000 plus breweries in the U.S., less than 0.5% of them are owned by Latinos.
Well, many of us are aware of the role that service dogs play in the community, but do you know the rules when it comes to interacting with these animals while on the job? We'll break down the do's and don'ts for those dogs in just a few minutes. September is Service Dog Awareness Month, and people with service dogs, as well as their trainers, have a couple tips on what we should and should not do when we see one of these service dogs. Reporter Laura Lockheed breaks down the rules for us.
Help. It really is unbelievable, like what he is to me.
3 years ago, Plainview's theater director Jennifer Riley was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, a condition that turns tasks like walking long distances, holding things, and even breathing into daily challenges.
It just causes very weak muscles, and the more I use the muscle, the weaker it gets.
That's where Beckett comes in. As Jennifer's service dog, he does it all. Opens doors, helps her get up from chairs, picks things up that she's dropped, and even predicts when she's going to have a weak spell or a crisis where her breathing muscles stop working.
Him being able to alert when we're together, it just gives you the freedom to live an independent life.
While the rule of thumb is never to pet and to just ignore the dog as it does its job, there's one exception.
If you see a person in distress or you hear a service dog barking, please check that out. They need help.
During the pandemic, dog trainers say the need for skilled canines is going up, but not all dogs are born service dogs.
And I did not honestly have high hopes for Beckett.
But with both his and Jennifer's hard work training every week for 2 years, he surprised her.
Beckett was amazing and very laid back, very responsive. Somebody had trained him before they dumped him.
As a puppy, Beckett was dumped in a shelter. So just as Jennifer saved him from a life in a cage, she likes to say that he saved her too, and their relationship has changed her life.
What I wasn't prepared for was the bond. You become so dependent on each other that, I mean, it's a really sacred bond, you know, that we have. He can't be without me, I can't be without him, and it's a very precious thing.
Take a live look outside now. Scott returns with another check on our forecast coming up next, so stay with us. Before we wrap up here at 5 o'clock, let's check in with Tim first for what's coming up at 6. He's in the newsroom. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Sophie. Good afternoon. And it's almost football season in the Big Ten. You've probably, most folks have heard by now that the Big Ten will play a football season after all this year. That's, of course, good news for the players. It's what they've been looking for. It's also good news for businesses that rely on game day to give them a boost in business. Find out what a Saturday kickoff means for businesses right here in Siouxland. That's coming up at 6. Getting a hands-on experience at an art gallery, that's pretty standard stuff. But when the project becomes take-home, that might be just a bit different. The results could be changing. At 6, we'll introduce you to one family who's staying connected with the arts despite some of those virus-related changes. And as the Gulf Coast, as you've mentioned, continues to battle high water thanks to Hurricane Sally, one Iowa community is still battling flooding from more than a year ago. We'll find out how the community's getting along these days. That's at 6 as well. In the meantime, though, update from you folks out in the studio. Another nice night.
It is.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Tim. And another nice night with those really pleasant overnight temperatures where we don't need the AC. Just open the windows.
Yeah, pretty comfortable out there, Sophie. Temperatures tonight should be falling into the 40s across the area. 45 degrees in Sioux City with the wind from the north. And tomorrow, a high temperature of 72 and a mostly sunny sky. Just some of that smoke continuing to linger, mainly in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Thursday night, a chance of showers. Again, on Sunday, a small chance. And temperatures will be on the warmer side next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. And thank you for joining us. See you back here at 6. Until then, have a great night, everyone.